Today is December 21st, 2025, and welcome to the 467th episode of the So Video Games podcast. Here on the show, I talk about any game at all, including new stuff, old stuff, and anything in between. My name is Brad Galloway. I'm the one-man host of the show, and I'm also the editor of GameCritics.com, a website that uses the full range of review scores and offers full accessibility info on every review that we publish. Hello, how is it going, y'all? Thank you for being here. Exciting stuff. We are definitely in December, and that means we are definitely almost ready to get to 2026. Who knows what it will bring? I'm afraid to say. Before we get to that, and before we get to anything else on this show, just a quick heads up. Next episode is the Game of the Year. Look back on the last 12 months, the wrap up. We're going to give the top 10s. It's going to be me. Carlos Rodella will be returning, fan favorite Carlos. And we will each go through our respective top 10s and do some alternate categories, honorable mentions, stuff like that. So you are in the home stretch. I have gotten several submissions from listeners who wanted to have their top threes in the show, but there is still time, and I would still love to get more top threes. This is going to be your absolute last chance. There's not going to be another show between now and then. I will not have a chance to remind you anymore. This is your final ass warning. If you would like to have your top three of the year on our show next week, I would love to have it. What we need, as I just said, your top three of the year in order, preferably, but don't have to be. It could be any top three, or it could be number one, number two, number three, whatever you want to do. In addition to your top three best experiences, I should clarify. Send me your one worst experience. So your least favorite game of the year. And then on top of that, if you wish, not necessary, but if you wish, you can throw in a bonus wildcard category. Best music, best character, best writing, something, keep it positive. So again, looking for your top three games of the year, your one worst, and then your wildcard category. Send those in to me here on any of the channels that I will get to at some point. Reach me in the Discord. You can get me on social media. You can just email me straight up, anything like that. Send them in. You've got less than 7 days to get me those, and then the category closes, well, not forever, but I guess closes until next year. So we would love to have them. Send them in. If you want to share them, we'll give you a shout out and a big thank you on the show. Looking forward to it. And a big thanks to everybody who has sent in their nominations already. Okay, what's going on right now? Nothing. Just enjoying some apple cider donuts that my wife just made. She made them from scratch. My wife is a great cook, which probably explains why I'm getting so fucking fat. And we eat pretty well when we have the time and the energy. You know, we're very blessed to have a kitchen and enough money to buy food and a roof over our heads. And so we do like to have a nice meal every once in a while. I cook. I'm a pretty good cook. And my wife is an excellent cook, and the two of us together make some pretty good food, which is, it's good and bad. It's bad because definitely putting on a couple pounds. And also it's bad because when you go to a restaurant, a lot of times you're like, this sucks. I can make something that's better than this for a lot cheaper. And so it makes it really tough to have a good restaurant experience because so many places just make like really mediocre food these days. And if you can cook better than that, then it kind of defeats the whole point of going out. But then you got to cook, and then you got to clean the dishes. You got to put it away when you're done. And I don't know. It's rough. I know. I realize this is a bullshit problem to have. I'm just like venting right now. But anyway, the wife made some apple cider donuts this morning that were just fucking great. And she makes them baked. I don't like to do any deep frying in the house because it just is gross and oily, and there's a mess all over the place and it smells. So she's come up with a baking recipe. And normally donuts do not work baked. I mean, I realize they're a fried thing. That's kind of just intrinsically what they are. But this particular recipe came out great. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but she whipped it up, baked it. They came out super light and fluffy. And then she rolled them in cinnamon and sugar and nutmeg. And her secret pro tip is putting in some apple cider like mix, like a little packet of apple cider mix that you would add to hot water. Instead, you add that to the mix and roll the donut in it, and it just like multiplies the apple flavor. Really fucking good. I just had like 2 of them, stuffed them down my gullet before I came down to the show. And those are delicious. So there you go. Apple cider donuts. That's the high point of my day so far. Apart from, of course, being here with you, dear listeners. Okay, let's get to it. Going to kick things off with housekeeping where I talk about tidbits, news items, anything randomly game adjacent that has caught my eye in the last 7 days. Only one major thing to mention. I know I seem to be bringing up AI like every week on the show, but that's because something AI related happens every week. And so the only real piece of game related I don't know, housekeeping this week, is that Claire Obscure, Expedition 33, they were in the Indie Game Awards, which happened recently, and they won, what was it, Best Game Overall and also Best Debut Game. I know the fact that they were even nominated is kind of a hot button issue. A lot of people feel like they should be in the indie category because they had a bunch of contractors and they had a bunch of money, and the people on the team are like experienced industry vets and like whatever. I don't know. I'm not going to debate that right now, but what is up for debate is that when they were nominated, they originally said that they had not used any AI in the production of this game, which later turned out to be a lie, which is very disappointing. At some point, I think one of the creative directors or somebody said that, I think this is after they had won the award. I think they had admitted that they had used some Gen AI for placeholders, which seems to be like the default answer everybody gives these days. Oh, did you use AI? Oh, no. Well, I mean, I guess, yeah, it was a placeholder, I suppose. I didn't inhale. I only put the tip in. Didn't really do it. So I feel like a lot of these developers are probably dirtier than they're letting on because they realize it's not fucking cool. So they admitted that they used Gen AI for placeholders in pre-production. They said they stripped it all out before the game went live. I mean, is that true? I don't know. Who knows? But because of that, the Indie Game Awards revoked their wins. They said they disqualified themselves because the Indie Game Awards does not allow any AI. I mean, fucking kudos, standing ovation to that. So instead, the Best Debut Award went to Sorry We're Closed, which is a great game. And I believe that Blue Prince won the overall Game of the Year award. I'm not feeling that one very much, but I know a lot of people like that, so whatever. And which kind of just leads me to the whole, I mean, I'm not going to bang on about this. I feel like I've talked about it a lot lately, but this lie that people keep telling of, oh yeah, we just used them for placeholders and pre-production, blah, 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 blah. Really? Why? Why did you fucking bother? Like, why did you fucking bother to do that? If you're going to replace it with real art, then just put in placeholder art. Put in a fucking square that says hero's face here. And that's your fucking placeholder art. Like, what is this whole, like, using AI to generate these, like, really high-end images and calling that a placeholder, and then you're going to replace it with, like, other art that looks just as good or whatever? Get out of here. I am rapidly losing patience and losing belief in the idea that people are just using this for placeholder art. And again, not going to bang on about this, but stop putting your fucking artists out of work. There's a million artists out there who will work, who want this work, who want to be creative and who want to express themselves. And art is all about the human condition and being creative and being alive. So fuck this Gen AI stuff. And although apparently all the AI has been taken out of Expedition 33, I'm disappointed in what happened, but I still think that's a great game in general. And it's unfortunate that it's been tainted with this now, because I think it's a great achievement, a great game, a great experience. And I think it would have been great without the AI. It would have been even better because we wouldn't be talking about it now. But regardless, there you go. I guess kudos to the Indie Game Awards for having some standards and sticking to them. And I hope that the people at Sandfall Interactive will take this as a lesson and just skip the whole AI thing in the future, because let's just avoid the whole problem, shall we? One other thing to mention, this is not game related, but I feel like I have to mention it. So if you listen to this podcast, if you're a longtime listener, you probably know that I am a big, big fan of action figures and 80s type toys. When rampant consumerism was at its highest, I was thoroughly indoctrinated into that lifestyle. And that's just who I am these days. I love action figures. I love toys and stuff like that. But related to that, one of the biggest brands was Masters of the Universe, also known as He-Man back then. Still a major, major He-Man fan. And one of the offshoot properties from He-Man is She-Ra, who is He-Man's sister. She had her own series back in the 80s, multiple toy lines, etc., etc. But recently, DreamWorks, well, maybe not too recently, like 2018, I think it was, DreamWorks Entertainment just rehauled She-Ra from top to bottom, with N.D. Stevenson as the showrunner and main creative force, who is fucking amazing. Love their work. And just really reimagined everything that She-Ra was from top to bottom. Rewrote the backstory and the lore, totally re-envisioned the characters, lots of stuff. And it was this incredible show. I think there's all 52 episodes altogether, 4 seasons. And it's fantastic. Not only is the writing great and the voice is great, it's also a very, very LGBTQ positive show. Huge positive representation on the show in an era when we desperately need more of it. And I think the show is amazing. The reason I bring this up, because Netflix is taking it off of Netflix. Now remember, Netflix like made the show in conjunction with DreamWorks for sure, but like Netflix was partner. So this is a Netflix show on Netflix, and they're taking it off Netflix, and it's going nowhere. It's going to disappear. And they've done this, I think, at least once before with another high-profile cartoon. I mean, they've done it with like lots of things, but this is pretty high profile if you're in that circle. They also did it with their Voltron reboot, which I heard nothing but great things about, and in fact was on my list to watch. And then I come to find out the Netflix reboot of Voltron has also been vanished, thrown into an oubliette somewhere, and we have not seen it since. And I don't think you can get it anywhere other than pirating it somewhere. So just a heads up, if you have not seen She-Ra and the Princesses of Power on Netflix by N.D. Stevenson, co-produced by DreamWorks and Netflix, it's fucking amazing. You don't have to be a He-Man fan to enjoy it. You don't have to be queer to enjoy it. I think it's just a fucking awesome show from start to finish. Great writing, great characters, lots of fun, lots of energy, lots of action, queer representation, like up front and forward. An amazing show, and I think a great example of what we can do in terms of positive representation. And it fucking sucks that it's going away. So I guess, I don't know, run it on Netflix and set up your little iPhone in front of it and just record the whole thing. Or maybe look for some bootleg DVD from some other country or something like that. But, or at the very least, if you haven't seen it, go watch it now. You've got until February 21st. That's plenty of time to watch each episode. Even if you only watch one a day, that's still enough time to watch the whole thing. But probably watch 2 a day because it's just that good. Maybe 3. So heads up, it's vanishing, and I really hope it doesn't vanish forever. That is something that should not be lost. I think it's an amazing view. One of my favorite shows of the last decade, at least. So heads up that that's on its way out. Okay, and I think that is it for housekeeping. Let me take a look at the script here. Okay, before we jump into the main part of the show, just a quick heads up about the Patreon supporting this show that you're listening to right now in real time. All the costs of this podcast and sister site GameCritics.com are paid for out of my own pocket. This pocket right here, actually lying and wearing underwear. No pants today. Sorry, it's hot down here. But if I had pants, this pocket is what I would be talking. So just imagine the pocket. Imagine the pocket. There's, theoretically a pocket here. If you love this show, or if you love GameCritics.com, if you love both, I would invite you to chip in and help me keep it all running. If everybody listening or clicking at Game Critics would chip in just $1 a month, just one, literally $1 a month, less than the cost of a cup of coffee these days, folks. Every expense for running both these sites would be covered, and if you can afford it, I would appreciate it. Also, thank you very much to Ron, who just upped their pledge to the $5 level. Really appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. I am so grateful that you are in the Discord, always chipping in. It's always fun to talk to you. You're a frequent listener. You send in questions. I mean, you're like the best kind of fan to have. I really appreciate it. And you put your money where your ears is, and I appreciate that too. So thank you very much, Ron. You are the best. And if you would like to get a shout out and would like to get in on this, please feel free. You can get in on the Discord for free, but if you want to chip into the show, $1, $5, whatever you like, let's make that happen, and I would appreciate it. Okay. Let's see. Shout out to the YouTube channel at GameCritics.com videos for hand-curated stuff from the team. And I think that's all the preamble we have to get through. Yeah, let's do it. Let's kick it off with circle backs, where I circle back to stuff I've covered in depth in previous episodes. Not going to get into all the details again right now, so just think of this as a quick update to let you know if my thoughts have changed on something for better or for worse after spending more time with it. All right, the only circle back today is Night Swarm, which I covered, I believe, on the very last episode. This is a survivors-like a vampire survivors-like, where you are a person walking around this kind of vaguely openish area. You have the auto-firing weapons, and basically what you're focused on is avoiding getting hit and picking up power-ups. This one has a strong vampire theme. Everything is bats, rats, poison, darkness, blood, fangs, etc., etc. But it all works well. I think it's all cool. There's another weird twist in that your character is portrayed as a board game piece. Like they're a humanoid character on a round circular base, like of the kind that if you were playing, Dungeons and Dragons, you'd have a little miniature or something. I don't know why that is. It doesn't make any sense because the game is not themed as a board game. I think it's probably because the developers did not have the ability to add the animation, which, I mean, okay, I'm not mad. I mean, it's weird. I don't like the way it looks that way, but the game is still good, and I think it's fun. So I guess maybe next time, let's not do that. Let's have some actual animation. But otherwise, this is great. I've been putting a lot of time into it. I believe I finished it. I guess I'm not sure. And I think this is the part of the show where I say I really like this game a lot. I had a lot of fun with it, playing at least 1 or 2 levels a day, and I think it's really great. I think the Survivors Like action is good. Vampire theming is good. Graphics are cute, except for the absence of the animation for characters. The powers are really cool. I think there's a lot of really fun powers, like poison rats and these teeth that go shooting out, and there's like red lightning and all sorts of stuff. There's even a couple I haven't unlocked yet. But I think it's really well done. It melds Survivors Like gameplay with a kind of Slay the Spire map where you go to each node and do a battle there. So each battle is like 3 minutes long. They break away from the traditional Survivors Like formula of playing for like 20, 30 minutes at a time, and instead do 3 minutes at a time. And I think it works. I think it's really fun. So overall, I really like Night Swarm a lot. It's been a lot of fun. I've had a great time with it. But I will say it's kind of fizzling out at the end. Like I just mentioned a second ago, I think I finished it, but I guess I'm not sure. The game itself is feeling a little bit unfinished, to be frank with you. When I got to the end game, you go through a number of different levels, desert themed, forest themed, and ice themed. And then you get to this, the enemy vampire castle, where you're supposed to storm the castle and, oust the betrayer, etc., etc. But you get there and you fight the last boss, and it's the guy that you think you're there to kill. So you beat him, and then there's still 2 more levels after that. So I'm like, oh, okay, is there really like another big bad? No, it was the same boss again. Nothing changed. It was like the same boss, the same fight. No extra story. So you end up fighting the same boss 3 times in 3 different levels for no real reason. I guess I'm not sure why. Like, did they just run out of time? They didn't have other bosses in place or something? This was kind of weird because there's plenty of other bosses in the rest of the game. I mean, as far as I can tell, every boss was unique up until that point. And I'm just curious as to why you fought the same boss. I mean, not even like a story. Like, you didn't even get the whole... ha ha ha, you've defeated me this time, but you'll have to fight me again and I'll be stronger next time. You didn't even get that. Like, it was just, you killed him and then you fought him again for some reason. And so that was really strange. And then I beat him all 3 times in 3 different levels, and that seems to be the end of the game, but then nothing happened. There's no congratulations, you did it. There's no new game plus. I mean, you can select harder levels and stuff, but there's no like bonus mode or here's the thing you unlocked because you beat the game, or here's a new power, or nothing. Like, nothing happened. I just went back to the main hub and it was like, play again. And I'm like, I mean, I kind of want a little fanfare. I kind of want a little like kudos for going all the way through the game. It's kind of a weird thing to leave out. So again, kind of giving the game kind of an unfinished feeling. It's not supposed to be in early access, I don't think, or maybe it is. I don't know. I don't think it is. Because I bought it on Xbox. I mean, I guess it might be, but yeah, just it's not bad. I'm not disappointed. Well, okay, I am disappointed. I am, but I just I don't know, guys. Like, you guys did such a great job for most of this game, and to peter out at the end and just have the whole thing fizzle into nothing was kind of disappointing. So anyway, I guess I finished it. I still think it's good. I had a great time with it. I would definitely recommend it to people who like Survivors Likes this year, but I guess just know that it kind of doesn't really end and you just kind of keep going and nothing happens, which is kind of a bummer. So anyway, I still like it though. I still give it a thumbs up. Night Swarm, there you go. Check it out. All right, let's get into the brand new stuff this week, or at least stuff I haven't covered before. Not all of it is brand new, but whatever. I gave that disclaimer at the top of the show. First up, Shadow Labyrinth. I just got this on sale. It was on my wish list for a while, and I'm checking it out here. This is the 2D roguelike. No, not a roguelike. My bad. It is a Metroidvania, or search action game, as some of the kids are calling it these days, where you are a person going through this weird techno fantasy world, and with you is a thing that really strongly resembles Pac-Man, actual Pac-Man. And because this is coming from Namco Bandai and some second-party studio they have, it is actually Pac-Man. I mean, thoroughly. Like, you are walking around doing Metroidvania stuff, and then sometimes you'll see a little weird looking wall. It looks like a little metal rail on it. And if you jump onto that wall, you actually turn into Pac-Man, and then you waka 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 your way around the wall and eat little dots, and you chase ghosts and stuff like that. So it's weird. This game first came to my attention when I saw the short animated film that was on Amazon. I believe they had a series of game themed short films, and collectively it was called, I want to say it was called Secret Level on Amazon, Prime Video or whatever. Same people who did Love and Death and Robots on Netflix, which is just a sci-fi animation kind of compilation. If you have not seen Love and Death and Robots, there are some good fucking shorts in that whole collection. I think there's 3 series, sort of. I think the last third series is kind of broken up into 2. But regardless, Love and Death and Robots, fucking amazing stuff in there. Not every short is a hit, but like a lot of them are really, really good. So those people came over to Amazon and made these video game themed films. Some of them are much better than others. Some are not great, but whatever. But this one with Pac-Man really caught my attention, where you see this film where this thing is resuscitating people, and it's going through the world, and it's forcing this human guy to like kill things, and it's dark and noir and gritty. And then at the very end, it's revealed that like Pac-Man is the one that's making you do it. And I was like, what in the fuck did I just watch? What is this about? And then soon after, I got PR saying, hey, you remember that thing you just watched? And I'm like, yes. They're like, that's actually a game. And I'm like, oh, shit. So that's how it caught my attention. And that's really kind of what's going on here. It came out, I want to say, at least 6 months or a year ago, and I didn't jump in at first. We only got one code, and I gave that to the reviewer. I think that was Jason, I believe, who covered that one. And the review is up at gamecritics.com if you wish. He seemed to like it a lot, and so that kind of got me stoked, but I wasn't quite ready to jump in. I'd heard a lot of people say it was very difficult and that it was kind of brutal, a lot of skill checks and stuff, and so I waited, and it went on sale. I think it was on sale for $15 or $20. I'm like, okay, that seems like a good time to jump in. But what really convinced me was they have just released a new mode to the game called Explorer Mode. Apparently a lot of people really did feel like it was too hard and too grueling, so they added this new mode, which you can select at the beginning, where it reduces enemy damage, it increases your damage, it alters a couple other things in the game, it stops like bump damage from bumping into enemies, which I believe probably would have been a pretty big factor, and a couple other things. But like generally they're just kind of I don't want to say nerfing it, because I think that's not the right term, but I think they are just really taking a good look at the difficulty and like scaling it back a little bit. So that was kind of my big impetus to be like, okay, as I always say on the show, the best time to play any game is at least 6 months after release. Proven true once again. I'm always right with that one. Not to break my arm, pat myself on the back, but that is correct information. And so this seemed like the best time to jump in. And I did start Explorer mode because I just want to have some fun. I'm not here to prove anything. And so far it's been like okay, I guess. It starts out really weird. I think there's some pretty poor character design and some pretty poor animation. I will say I think the graphics are just not very good looking. They look kind of cheap. It looks like maybe I don't know, somebody did it on their own home computer and they're just not like a graphics person. Like it just doesn't look that great. I'm not quite sure what's going on. It kind of looks slightly like illustrated, but kind of not. And some of it's polygon and some of it's not. And it just doesn't really, it's just not a very appealing looking game so far, which is a big bummer because, graphics and art style mean a lot to me. Actually playing it pretty standard Metroidvania stuff so far. Jumping, you hit some save points, you collect points to increase your life and stamina. Combat pretty basic so far. The only big twist, and full disclosure, I'm not trying to be harsh on this game, but I've only played maybe like an hour of this game, so I'm really, really early. In fact, I'm only bringing it up now because I was kind of short on content for this week's show. So I'm like, I've barely scratched the surface. I'm not trying to slag this game at all. I'm just saying that what I've seen so far, not the best start. One of the tutorials was fucking miserable. I could not believe what I was seeing. Like when they first have you transform into Pac-Man the first time, it is the simplest thing in the world, and they overcomplicate the fuck out of it. Like it was like 3 screens of text with weird jargon that they have not explained to you, and all these diagrams, and it's like still pictures, and they're trying to get you to do this thing. And I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? All you got to do is let me try it. I'm Pac-Man, waka waka waka, and then you jump. I get it. It's not fucking complicated, and they just complicate the fuck. I was so confused by the tutorial. I'm like, am I missing something? This seems really simple. Why do they keep explaining to me? What am I not doing that they keep trying to explain to me? I don't understand. And then something about the tutorial didn't quite work because I was trying to get out of it, but you couldn't back out of it, and I couldn't complete it. And I thought the game was glitched or something. And I'm like, what is going on? This is so stupid. So I eventually got out of it, but like that was just like a really poor way to start. So poor graphics, kind of just boring, straightforward action. And then the tutorials were just like a joke. They were like a joke. It's like if you had challenged somebody, please make the worst possible tutorial, this one would be in the running. Like it was just so ass backwards. But I got past all that, and now I'm kind of in the stage where the difficulty is ramping up a little bit. I notice it's getting a little bit tough, even on Explorer mode, or Adventurer mode, or whatever it's called. So I'm like, okay, cool. I don't know. I'm having pretty mixed feelings. I'm not feeling super motivated to stick with it because I feel like we've missed a lot of opportunities to kind of engage me as a player and get me hooked. But I do want to see more of it. I'm kind of interested to see if the interesting stuff from that short film will show up in this movie or in this game and what they're going to do with it. But it's just really weird. And I will say something that was really strange also. Like in one of the opening cutscenes, you don't quite know what's going on. There's like a war between aliens or something, and there's like this weird, dumb-looking robot dinosaur mech thing, and like you control that for a minute, and it's really clunky. And then you see this weird anime girl with this enormous booty, and she's just like there, and I'm like, what? I mean, look, listen. I enjoy a big booty. Okay, I'm a big booty guy. I have been for years. I was into big booties before it was popular. Okay, I'm not complaining. But it just seems like a really weird thing to have pop up in a game that's like a Metroidvania about Pac-Man in a dark, gritty world. Big booty anime girl is not what I expected to show up. And I just don't understand. Like, this game feels all over the place, honestly. It feels like a mess. And I'm waiting for it to come together, and we'll see what happens. But it is just a very strange experience. And I'm glad I don't have to review it. And I'm glad I'm not like on the hook for anything here. Because I may bounce if it doesn't come together. This is just kind of a joke. So anyway, we'll see what happens. I do want to get to more Pac-Man action. I do want to see if it starts making more sense. But I don't know, man. I don't know. As much as I like big butts, having that show up in Pac-Man, that was not instilling me with confidence. Okay, there we go. That is Shadow Labyrinth, playing it on the PlayStation. All right, next up is I Am Future Cozy Apocalypse Survival. Was sent a code for this from the publisher, so thank you very much. I am really interested in playing something like this. Spoiler, it is not this, but something like this would be just dandy for me right now. I want to kind of settle in with something that I can just kind of chip away at and kind of build a world and kind of just get comfortable. Cozy is something that I'm totally open for these days, and this looked like it was going to fit the bill. You play a character. You can choose between male or female, and you can change some clothes and hair options, but you're going to be like either a white chick or a white dude, or white presenting chick, or chick presenting. Yes. You either appear to be a female person or a male person. Whatever the truth of that is, who knows? You can do your own mental canon on that. But you wake up from a pod that you've been hibernating in for quite some time, and you don't know exactly where you are, what's going on. You're on a rooftop. There are other rooftops around, like a big skyscraper kind of rooftop. And it looks like nature has started to reclaim the environment. And there's a bunch of crap on the roof, bunch of weeds and bugs and junk and stuff. And so you wake up and then you start dismantling things and just kind of like trying to build a life in this area. And just, I don't know, in this depopulated zone, building, campfire and different materials and stuff like that. So it's kind of a cool idea that you're on this rooftop. It's a small area. It's already intrinsically cozy just because it's small. And then everything's colorful and bright, lots of green and like orange and blue, and everything is just like shiny and warm. And that's really great. You can dismantle a lot of stuff from the beginning, and then you get like a cybernetic hand like 5 minutes after you start. And then that will dismantle some more stuff. And then you can like upgrade to like a saw, and that'll dismantle some more stuff. So part of the game in the very beginning is just like clearing the place out so you can like move around and get some stuff. But I feel like, unfortunately, it falls into some tropey stuff like almost from the get-go. And that was kind of a bummer. First thing, it's third person isometric kind of action. First thing is that there's this really weird, intense starvation mechanic that happens right off the bat. I've talked to other people who have played this game, and they're like, oh yeah, you can just like basically negate that and never worry about it again once you get your farm going or whatever. But like in the beginning, it's like I was starving almost immediately, and I had no idea what to eat or how to get food. And it was really weird that the developers put that much pressure on you at the beginning. I felt like a very like sense of panic of like, oh, my guy's dying and I can't figure out what to eat and I don't know what's going on. So I think that initial struggle for just regular survival is really poorly paced. I think also there's a lot of crap going on. Like, again, like what happens so much with games like this is the tutorial is awful. I think the onboarding in the beginning is just really awful. They start you out, but like your quest list, they should really walk you through this. Like, here's the first thing you should do. Here's the second thing. And then once you've done five things or 10 things, they can be like, okay, guardrails are off. Go do what you want to do. But like, I felt like you got thrown into it pretty quickly. And maybe if you've played a million of these games, you know what to do. But if you're not that into the genre, which I am not, I like them. The concept of them anyway, but I have not played a ton of them. Like I was just like, I would like a smoother on-ramp for me, please. And so I got stuck a few times, not to the point of starting over, but like, it was kind of unpleasant where I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm not sure how to get this thing. I needed some wires and I couldn't find the wires to get the thing I needed to do. And the crafting comes in like real strong, almost like right off the bat. And I think that's another thing that's kind of, I wish people who did this kind of game would just get off of the whole make a crafting bench and then you're going to just spend most of your time just crafting a bunch of shit. Like, crafting's fine, I guess, but like there's other ideas. I'd like to see people do different takes on crafting. I feel like there's a very bog standard attempt to craft here. And if you're not into that specific type of gameplay, which I'm not really, it just got kind of old. Really annoying to have to make every fucking thing in the whole world and collect a bunch of shit. And the thing that really made it unpleasant was the inventory management. If this is a fucking cozy game and we're just talking about like pretend and this is the future and whatever, like managing your storage boxes and how many storage like capacity I have on me and in my backpack, my fucking inventory filled up like in a blink of an eye. And I was constantly like, oh, where did I put that thing? And I got to go back to that thing. And oh no, I can't unload this thing because it's too full. And oh, this box is too full. No, I got to make a new box. And oh, I wasted resources making a box and now I can't make the thing that I wanted. And no, and it's just like, what a fucking drag, dude. Like, just let me collect the shit and then just let's all just agree that we can pretend and close our eyes and let's have a little magic in this game. And let's just say that if I pick something up and I have it somewhere, no matter what box it's in, no matter if it's in my backpack or my pocket, no matter where it is, if I've collected it, let's just say that I can have it and I'll just use it. And if I need it, it'll just be right there. Let's just save ourselves the fucking time and annoyance. Shall we? I got so frustrated with the fucking inventory limits, like so fast. Like everything was clutter, everything was full. And I got so tired of like going to a thing and be like, oh fuck, I forgot the thing, I forgot the bark, or I forgot the seed, and I forgot the water. And like, oh my God, like, dude, it's just a time tax. It's just annoyance. Like, seriously, that part cooled me the fuck off more than anything else in this game. So beyond that, I mean, there's different sliders you can choose. There's these bugs that come to fuck up your stuff. There are these poison weeds that pop up if you want to like annihilate those. I turned it all down to minimum because that's not really what I was here for. I wanted just to like putter around and make a little safe, cozy place for myself and just kind of enjoy the space. And it just like a million little irritations all over the place. It just did not hit cozy. Like, it seemed like they were afraid to make some choices that would differentiate it from other games in the genre. But like, that's what I think we need right now. So pretty bog standard crafting, even though like it's bright and colorful and cheery. There's definitely some harsh survival mechanics at the beginning, which I've heard really go away later on in the game, but you got to get there first. I don't know, just like I really wanted to like this game. I like the idea. I like the idea of setting up a little world on top of a rooftop and just being at peace in your zone and puttering away at things. But like, man, just like so annoying. Every single thing was like so annoying, and I just really wanted it to be a smoother, more frictionless experience. So real bummer. If there's a developer out there listening who is crafting a kind of apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic, or friendly apocalypse, any kind of survival, anything cozy like that, like, get in touch with me. But like, only if you're going to do something different. Like, don't have the fucking inventory limits and make things smooth and frictionless and make it friendly and fun. If that's you, get in touch, man. I would definitely want to check your thing out because I'm just struggling to find that right now. Because I am future. Cozy apocalypse survival is not it. really wanted to like it, really ended up not liking it and just getting so annoyed. But maybe other people out there will check it out. Or I guess if you play every one of these in the genre, maybe it might, be more appealing to you. But for me, it was just like, just so disappointing that like every single thing I tried to do, irritation. And I just can't put up with that. Cannot do that these days, folks. Cannot. Once again, I am Future Cozy Apocalypse Survival. Next up, we've got Despelote. This is one that I've had my eye on for a while. Not necessarily because it appealed to me, more on that in a second, but because a lot of people were talking about it for like Game of the Year contenderage. Not necessarily that it might be the best, but certainly that it's been on a lot of people's top 10s. And I had some people, recommend it to me as like something to watch out for and keep an eye on. So, okay, cool. I'm always grateful whenever anybody recommends anything to me or when someone puts something on my radar. That's amazing because, even for somebody who spends as much time on games as I do, reading the stories and getting PR blasts and, talking to folks and whatever, you just can't see it all. There's just no way. It's just too much. It's too big. It's too large. And so having people out there acting as my eyes and ears remotely and letting me know when they think something is worth taking a look at, or at least notable, is super, super, super appreciated. You can't see it, but I have my hands clasped together here in kind of a namaste gesture. And I'm kind of just like giving all of you my thanks. So I appreciate it. So Despelote, this is an indie jam. I want to say it's probably from Ecuadorian developers. I can't say that for sure. But this is a story of a boy who is growing up in Ecuador. I forget what year it is. I want to say it's like 1990 or something like that, which to me feels very recently, but I get that to many people, that's a long time ago. Time is relative, I guess. So this is, I guess, I don't know if this is based on true facts or not, to be perfectly honest, and you probably already know where this is going. I didn't do any research as to how much of this was based in fact and how much of it was just like, fiction for the sake of the game. But in the story of the game, Ecuador has just gotten to, or they're going to the World Cup. I was going to say the World Series. No. Soccer, football. So they're going to the World Cup. World Cup? Yeah, World Cup. I don't follow football, so you can tell I don't follow that. But they're going to the first time, and everybody in the country is super excited. And the whole game is shown in first person from the perspective of a small child who looks like he's in grade school. And you're kind of just like walking around and overhearing people's conversations. Everybody's talking about the World Cup. Everybody's excited. You hear your parents talking about parent stuff. You hear kids in the playground talking about kid stuff. You can interact here and there. You do some soccer a couple times, and you kind of just like experience the world. It's a very interesting art style, and I think it's very impressionistic in a good, smart way. Because as a kid, I think that you kind of are very limited in what you're taking in. You're very focused on certain things, ignoring other things. And so whatever's like right in front of you is really in focus. But then in the rest of the world, in the game of Despelote, like it's all kind of like, it gets hazier and hazier the further out to the screen you go, and nothing is really super sharp. It all looks like it's like crayon colored in a little bit, like if you were fanning a crayon across a piece of paper to like fill in a large area, and it's like it's not smooth, it's kind of like textured. That's kind of what it looked like to me, is like somebody fanning a crayon over paper, which was a cool effect. I don't know that I've ever quite seen something exactly like that before, so that was neat. But you just kind of walk around and you listen to stuff and you have some dreams and you're talking about the World Cup and you're a soccer fan yourself, football fan yourself. And you just kind of just live in the world. And I think it's a neat trick to be able to experience what it is to be this child, because you're just, people are talking around you and no one's really engaging with you that much, which is pretty appropriate for a kid. And you're just kind of like, absorbing it all like passively. So it's kind of interesting. From that perspective, that technique, I think, is something that I haven't seen done in exactly that way before. So kudos to that. I will say I did not finish the game, even though it's pretty short. I think people were telling me it's like 2 hours long, and I just couldn't get through it. It was just all due respect that I just mentioned. Those things are all good, but I found it to be just like a horrifically boring, just really boring. As I just said, I'm not a football fan. I'm not interested in sports at all. This game has a lot of like passive action where you're just kind of like listening to things and going places. You're not really like engaging in a lot. And I hate the way this sounds, but I just didn't care. I just didn't care about anything that was happening in the game. And I know that something happens at the end. Like people said it was worth it to get there, and I just couldn't sit through it, man. I couldn't. I tried, and I found myself really, really bored. My attention was wandering, and I just wasn't connecting with it for whatever reason. So I respect what it's doing. I think it's really clever. I can appreciate the tricks it's doing and the approach it's taking, but I just didn't care about the subject material. It just did not connect with me, and it did not engage me in a way that made me feel like I wanted to see it through. And I bounced after like 45 minutes or an hour. I was just like, I'm good. It's just so tough to sit through something that is just not engaging these days. My time is so limited, and I've got so many other things to play, and I've got so many real life pressures outside of gaming that it just feels really like too much of an ask to sit through something that is just not interesting. And I say that not as someone who wants to be like catered to all the time. Like, I'm not asking for easy games with big explosions and short attention span stuff, but you know, I mean, I can appreciate a difficult game if the challenge is interesting, or I can appreciate an abstract game or an indie game if it's, you know, mentally stimulating, or if it's offering me something that I think I'm getting some value out of. And that's not to say that Despelote doesn't do those things, but just for me personally, it just wasn't clicking, and I just have the hardest time these days getting through anything that just isn't working for me on any level. So I respect the fuck out of it. I think it's very clever. I think if you're a soccer fan, you probably will get something out of it. If you are interested in this kind of like semi-autobiographical storytelling, it might be interesting. I think it's very cool. It's just very not for me, and I couldn't force myself to sit through it. So I apologize to everybody involved. I apologize to you, dear listener. I apologize to everybody, but that is my take on Despelote. I respect it, but it is not for me. Last game of the show, Golden Idol Investigations. So this is a very interesting puzzle game. This is the second, I believe. I think the first one was called Curse of the Golden Idol, I believe. This one is kind of like a point and click detective game, or deduction game, I think I should say. It's very unusual, very interesting, on basically every level. So the game starts out not really telling you like anything. They just dump you into the first scene, and you're just like, what's even going on? I don't even know what's happening. And you're looking at a very intentionally crudely drawn picture. The art style in this game is just like so whack, but I think it's intentionally whack. Everybody's ugly. The lines are all wavy. It looks like a crude drawing, but I'm sure it's intentionally so. Everybody is just kind of semi-grotesque in a way. And the first scene you see is a prisoner in a prison. They're in the hallway, and they have some kind of piece of cloth, and they're choking one of the guards out. And there's like 3 frames of animation. So the prisoner's going like choke, 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 and the guard is like struggle, 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 and like that's it. And so like there's these hot spots around the screen, and you just stare at it for a minute going, what the hell is going on? And then you realize you've got a cursor, and you're like, okay, well, obviously I need to click the hotspots. And so each hotspot gives you like a different piece of information. So let's say there's a piece of paper in the guard's pocket. You mouse over to it. I'm using the controller. I played this on PlayStation 5. You mouse over to it, and you click the piece of paper. And like the whole thing is just like, it's like a little tableau, right? It's like a little screenshot of this guy getting choked, and you're just like watching it happen, like freeze frame almost. And so you click on the paper, and it'll say, cell 201, Bob Jones. Cell 202, Jeff Green. Cell 203, you know, Abraham Satrakian or whatever. And so you'll be like, okay. And then you read that, and then those names get added to your list of words. And then you'll click on, I don't know, the rope that the guy's choking the guy with. And it'll be like 6-foot nylon rope. And then you click on, I don't know, the prisoner or something. And it'll say like, I don't know, you know, whatever. It doesn't matter. So you click on various hotspots around the screen, and every time you click on something, you get a couple words added to your list. And after a while, there's a little counter at the bottom of the screen that tells you when you've clicked everything. So you know when you've got all the words. And then you go to a little taskbar at the bottom, and it has various challenges. So in this very first challenge with the guy getting choked, it's like the first challenge is, who are these people? And you got to like pick their names. And so, for example, you got to look at the list of piece of paper in the guard's pocket, and then you got to kind of like, just from the scene you're seeing, deduce which room the prisoner came out of, and then you look at the number on his door, and then you match that up with a piece of paper in the guy's pocket, and you're like, okay, you're Bob Ross is who you are. And then the guard, he'll have like his last name on his lapel, you know, like a little name tag or something. And so you get his last name from there, and then you click a couple more hotspots, and you eventually find the guard's first name, and you plug in the first name of the guard and the prisoner, and then if it's right, it'll go, check, green, you did it, this is done. And then the second part of the challenge will be like a Mad Libs. I don't know if you've seen a Mad Libs. They seem to be less popular these days than they used to be. But basically, you have a written statement, and some of the words are blanked out. And so you need to select words from your list of words that you found and plug them into the spots to make a coherent statement that accurately depicts what is going on. So it might be like, blank, 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 blank. And then you look at it and you're like, okay, prisoner, Bob Ross, choked, guard, so-and-so, so-and-so, with a nylon rope because he was blah, 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 something, something, something. And he was from room 201. And so if you plug in all the words correctly, it'll go, ding, you did it, and case is solved. So that's kind of like what the gameplay is for the entire thing. It's like you look at the scene, you've got to deduce what's happening, and then you need to plug in those words in various challenges for each level. I didn't get super far in this game for a couple reasons. We'll get to that in a second. But like the next scene gets like bigger, and there's more things to click on. And then the third and fourth scene, I think I got to the fourth or the fifth one, and it was just like a lot of stuff. There was like multiple rooms to go to, multiple people to look at, lots of clues to find, and then there was like multiple challenges. And I gotta be honest, I don't think I am smart enough or patient enough to be successful at this game. In the very beginning, it was fine because like it was pretty simple. There weren't many locations, weren't many words, and I could figure that out. That was fine. But like it very quickly ramps up in difficulty, and I found myself getting stuck a lot. And I say the word deduction for this game rather than being a detective game. And the reason I make that distinction is because very often with some of these challenges, you have to deduce the answer based on not only what is present, but also what is not present. And you also have to keep in mind elements that may be in the cases you solve previous to your current one. So for example, I was in the fourth or the fifth case, and I needed to go back to like the second case because there was a guy's name in the second case that I had forgotten. And I'm like, okay, well, hold on. I got to go back to the second case. And I went there. And once you solve it, it's done. You don't need to like resolve it or anything. But like you go back to the same tableau. I believe the second case was a guy who had fallen off a bridge and he was dead. And you were investigating the body like below the bridge. And so I had in the past figured out what the guy's name was. And so I went back. I'm like, okay, I need this guy's name. Got that name. Came back to the fifth puzzle. And then you got to kind of just like string it all together. You got to keep the whole story going in your head. And then you've got to remember the details, and then you've got to like remember who did what to what, and kind of just keep that whole narrative going. And then also deduce, like, for example, there'll be like a morgue, and there's 4 bodies in there, and they'll like 3 of them will be labeled, 1 of them is not labeled, and then you'll find a list of names, and a list of names will have 4 names on it, and then 2 of those names will be blanked out, but 2 are still there. And then if you find this other comment that somebody said that you overheard, they'll list 2 other names, and then you got to figure out, okay, well, here are 4 names that I have, and here is the morgue where 3 bodies are labeled and 1 body is not labeled, and if I match these 3 names and these 3 bodies, therefore by process of elimination, the body that is not labeled must be this guy. So that's like a lot for my very weak mortal brain to handle, and I feel like this game is pretty cool. Like I dig what it's doing. It's very different. Definitely mentally challenging, but I was not up to the task, brother. I was just like, at a certain point, I was like, this is too hard. I'm tired. I just got done dealing with my son, and I did a bunch of work downstairs, and I had like 3 Zoom meetings, and now I want to kick back and relax. And this is like asking too much of me. It is too much of a challenge. I don't have the mental capacity right now, and I just can't do this. And I got stuck. So there's a hint system in the game. And at first I didn't want to touch it because I'm like, okay, I'm going to do my level best to solve this on my own. And I quickly realized I couldn't do that. So I'm like, okay, let's do the hint system. That's fine. The in-game hint system. And so I went to it, and the first time you click on it, it's kind of obnoxious. Like you click on it and they make you breathe for like 6 seconds. It's like, breathe, 1, 2, 3, breathe, 1, 2, 3. Because they want you to calm down, because they probably assume, rightly so, that you're irritated or frustrated, and so they want you to calm down first. And they're like, is that better? Now that you breathed, can you figure it out? And I'm like, fuck no, I didn't. No, it's not enough. Also irritating. And then they give you like 3 levels of hints. And the first hint will be something like, ooh, think carefully about the people's names. And I go, yeah, dude, fuck, of course, yes. And the second hint will be like a middle hint. And the third hint, like they call it like the most obvious hint. The most obvious hint is still not even the answer. It's just like another hint. And I'm like, okay, I need more help than this. But with this kind of game, if I was to go to, GameFAQs or check out the Steam message boards or something, I would simply get a list of what the answers were, but I wouldn't quite get like why they were or how people got there. And I just think the leap of very, very, very minute detail, careful deduction, I mean, that's going to like really light up someone's world, and I get what they're going for. But again, not for me. I hate to be that guy, but this particular podcast, I think I haven't clicked with any of the games on it, which is unfortunate because I do like to end on a positive, and I wish I could end positive here. And not to say this is a bad game, but again, just not for me. Like I hit a mental brick wall, and I could not do it. Couldn't make these intuitive leaps, and I ended up noping out of it. But I think it's really cool. I want to like this game. I really do. I think this is very neat, and I wish I could get into it. I wish I had more mental capacity. Wish I had more energy. Wish I had more patience. But again, just not where I'm at these days. And so I admire this one. I think it's very cool. But again, not for me. That was Golden Idol Investigations. All right, folks. Game portion of the show is now officially done. And again, I apologize for having 4 bummers in a row. I didn't really love any of those. I get it. But you do have the Game of the Year show to look forward to next week. And that's going to be just like banger after banger after banger. It's going to be like lots of positivity there. So I promise you, stick with me. 7 more days. We're going to get to the Goaty show, and you're going to love it. It's going to be good stuff. Okay. All right, folks. Before we bounce, let's talk about TV and movies just for a minute. Let's do the roundup here. Let's see. First, let's talk about Murdoch Mysteries. It's a Canadian detective show set in the turn of the century, 1900s. Very whitewashed and stylized and not realistic at all. And boy, do I love it. My wife and I love this show. It's like one of our comfort zones. Very much like the Great British Bake Off, where you're going to watch that. You know you're going to feel good watching it. You know you're going to get your warm fuzzies. It's a safe place. And that is exactly what Murdoch Mysteries is for us. They had season 19 as the current season, and we've watched all the other seasons, and we've watched all the bonus content. We've seen all the side stories. We've engaged in literally every piece of Murdoch IP there is, except for the latest season. We couldn't get it because it was not cleared for America yet. They weren't going to clear it for America until February, and we were like, God fucking damn it, I need our comfort fix literally right now. So we signed up for a VPN, told them we were in Canada, got into the broadcast network, signed up, and we got our show, and damn it, it was worth it. We are just loving it. Season 19 is great. If you like the show, you already know you like it. If you don't like the show, what's wrong with you? And if you've never watched the show, it might not be everybody's speed. I get it. It's kind of slow. It's kind of cute. It's kind of cozy. But we have really invested in the characters and invested in the world, and it's just a great time. They solve some like low-grade mystery, but really we're there for the characters, seeing how they're going to just like bounce off each other and seeing what they say and just going to this safe place where nothing ever too bad ever happens. And even the crimes are not really that serious, and it's all just good stuff. Beyond that, my wife and I started watching Mythic Quest, the sitcom based on game developers, funded in large part by Ubisoft. I guess it was like a Ubisoft co-production with, was it Amazon, I think, that did part of it? It's a very strange show. It's hyper specific. I don't know if you've seen this before. Ubisoft was really sending me a lot of PR about this when it was running. I believe it's over now. I think they did ultimately 4 seasons of it. Each show is about half an hour. Ubisoft was hitting it so hard. They were like desperate for me to watch the show, and I just didn't fucking want to. And I couldn't even tell you why. I was just like not in the zone or whatever. And I was like, no. And so the wife was like, oh, what about this show? I'd like to watch this. And I'm like, oh, it's that one Ubisoft show. Sure, let's give it a shot. And it's very interesting. Like I said, it's extremely specific. Now, a lot of this like makes sense to me because I've been to many developer studios. I know many developers. I am not a game developer, but I've been at the periphery of that for like decades, and just like seeing the characters on screen, what happens in the development room and all that stuff. I'm like, yep, this is all super on target and accurate. And if you're a developer listening to me right now, I would love to get your take on it. I think it's super accurate. It makes a lot of sense. Obviously it's a comedy, but other than that, I feel like they are dead on target. And if you either agree or disagree, I would love to get your take if you're a developer. So hit me up and let me know. But there's like the egotistical like idea guy. There's a writer who doesn't know anything about the game. There's the bug tester who's frustrated. There's the couple other people like the community manager who is like on the verge of cracking, and there's like these stereotypical people, and it all makes sense if you know games pretty well. Like if you don't know games, I guess a lot of this stuff might be kind of like weird or unrelatable, but it does hit on target. And it's weird because I think it's very funny. I think it's very clever and it's very funny, but it's one of those shows where it's funny and yet I never laugh. Like I'm not laughing out loud. I don't think I've even laughed out once, like audibly, right? But I'm watching it and in my head I'm like chuckling and I'm like, okay, that was a good line and that was very clever. And I don't know what about it is just not making me laugh out loud, because I do appreciate it, but something about it is just kind of keeping me at a distance so far. Maybe that'll change as time goes on, but we'll see. It's interesting. The most interesting episode we've seen so far, though, I think we've seen maybe like the first 6 episodes. And one of these episodes take a complete left turn. Usually it's like inter-office hijinks and, jokes, and they talk about streamers all the time and stuff like that. But one of the episodes, they totally break form and they show, it's almost like a documentary, and it's like fucking sad as fuck. It's called Dark Quiet Death is the name of the episode. And if you're going to watch only one episode, watch that one. You don't need to watch any of the rest of the series. It is a standalone episode that has no characters in common with any of the rest of the show. It was a weird inclusion. Kind of came out of nowhere. But it talks about these 2 developers who meet and they fall in love and they have a relationship, and they're also making a game that starts out as like this indie kind of eccentric thing, and it becomes a really popular hit, and it gets big and it gets out of their control. And how does that affect them? How does that affect their game philosophy? How does that affect their relationship? And it kind of takes them from the first day that meet to like the end of their relationship. Not saying that they were broken up or anything, but just like the end of like, how everything ends up. And it was sad as fuck. And it was really like, wow, man, I thought this was going to be a sitcom, and this is just like this really kind of touching and dark and real and painful human experience as seen through the lens of 2 game developers. Oh man, that was crazy. It came out of nowhere. So if you're going to watch one episode, watch that one, Dark Quiet Death, because it's literally nothing like the rest of the series. The rest of it is fine. I'll keep watching. We'll see how it goes. It's something light and easy we can watch before we go to bed. So it's all good. Last thing I'm going to mention today is Megan 2.0. This is the sequel to Megan, or Mithrigan as some people called it, about the killer robot with a rogue AI who in the original movie was protecting her person to the point that she was like killing everyone around her person so that she would be quote unquote safe because there was no one left to harm her. Obviously that didn't go over well. This sequel, not well received by the critics, but I will mention, when you pull up the movie, we're streaming it, you can see the critical reviews and you can see the audience reviews. Critical review was like at like 40 something, 45. Audience review was like almost 90. So I think there's a big disparity between what the critics were looking for and what the audience was looking for. I think Megan 2.0 is fucking brilliant. I think it's really, really good. It's really funny. It's very smart and sharp. And it's a big departure from what the first one was. The first one was this creepy robot going around killing people. And in the second, not to spoil anything, but there's another robot. They kind of go robot to robot. There's also like a larger overarching plot. There's also like political discussion. There's also discussion about the nature of AI. It's a much larger film, and its approach is wildly different. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the difference between Alien and Aliens, where same basic sort of thing, but like wildly different in approach, right? Like they're not the same movie at all, even though they feature the same alien, and it's, in large strokes, you can kind of see that they're the same, but they're not the same. So I thought Megan 2.0 was fucking great. My wife and I both thought it was a really fun ride. We laughed a lot. The action was cool. It was just wink, wink, nudge, nudge, funny and good. Really, really big thumbs up. I liked it quite a bit. And I think it's the perfect counterpoint to the original Megan. You wouldn't have wanted to do that same thing again. That would have been very unimaginative and boring. And I'm glad they did not do the exact same thing again. Good move. I realized it didn't hit at the box office. I know it was a pretty big dud for Blumhouse. But I think this is one of those movies that's going to grow in appreciation over the years. And I think people will have a much better opinion of it as time goes by. I think expectations for having another creepy robot slasher movie just kind of drowned out what this movie actually delivers, which is a lot of fun action, smart commentary, and good political commentary. So I thought Megan 2.0 was great. Honestly, it reminds me a little bit of Malignant. Also from, I believe Malignant is also from Blumhouse, and it had some of the same people involved in it. Malignant was another one of those horror movies where it got a really bad like reception at the box office, but I watched it. I thought it was fucking amazing. One of my favorite horror movies of the last 10 years, certainly. I think you just have to be ready to accept what it's doing and just be willing to engage in what it gives you. Great stuff. So same thing for Megan 2.0. I think people's expectations were not in the right place, and they were not willing to see what it was actually doing. They were looking for what they wanted rather than seeing what it did, and I think that led to their disappointment. But Megan 2.0 was great. Also, Malignant is great. I love Malignant. I think it's so good. So there you go, folks. That is a show. Before the closing music, we'd love for you to leave reviews, share the show on social media, but most important of all, please recommend this show to your friends, because nothing beats good old word of mouth. And as always, and especially right now, I want to get your questions and your comments and your top 3. I talked about it at the top of the show, but send me your top 3, your bottom 1, and any wildcard nomination you want for Game of the Year. I will add it to the script next week. Give you a big shout out. It'll be lots of fun. If you want to get that to me, you've only got like 6 days left. You're on the countdown. You can email me directly at sovideogamespodcast@gmail.com. You can hit me on social media. You can find me on Instagram and Blue Sky. If so, it's my name, BRADGALLAWAY. All A's, no O's. You can also hit me in the So Video Games Discord, which is totally free of charge to join. Just drop me a line, and I will get you on board to continue the conversation. And finally, if you'd like to support this show, this very show, the show you listened all the way to the end to, if you're listening to my voice right now, you are a true fan and a true listener of this show. And if you would like this show to continue and you would like to help me with the cost of running this podcast and also GameCritics.com, you can do that over at patreon.com/the So Video Games Podcast, because every single dollar helps and a euro helps that much more. All right, folks, that's going to do it for episode 467. Thank you again for joining me here on the So Video Games Podcast, and Game of the Year next week. It's the big one. It's the big countdown. It's the show we wait for all year long. Join us then. Carlos will be here. I'll be here. You'll be here. And it's going to go down. See you then.